Good day, everyone. I am Rika Crystal. I'm Chris from BS Accountancy 1 Blackpool. And for today's video, I'm going to talk about the process design. So, process design. Process design. In every firm that produces goods or a service will do so by the use of a process. This process will use the firm's resources in order to transform the primary inputs into some type of output. In designing the actual process, particularly the number and sequence of steps, several important factors need to be considered. So dito sa process design, sa lahat ng company, kailangan nilang gumawa ng process design para maging maganda yung flow ng output, ay nung transformation ng output, ng inputs into outputs. So sa process design, there are factors needed to be considered. First is yung product variety. So kailangan malaman ng mga manufacturer or yung mga company kung gaano karami yung variety or gaano karami yung design na kailangan nilang gawin. Next is output volume. Kailangan rin nilang malaman kung gaano karami yung kailangan nilang gawin sa isang design. For example, sa isang design, magagawa sila ng 20 copies or 50. So, kailangan nilang malaman kung gaano karami yung gagawin nila sa isang design. Next is technology. Sa technology naman, kailangan rin nilang malaman kung anong klaseng machineries or technologies yung gagamitin nila para magawa yung mga outputs. Next is employees. Kailangan nilang malaman kung skilled ba yung mga employees na gagawa ng mga products. Kailangan nilang malaman kung gaano ka-skilled yung mga employees para malaman nila kung anong klaseng trabaho yung kailangan nilang gawin. Next is production lifespan. Kailangan nilang malaman kung gaano katagal magagawa yung mga product na gusto nilang gawin. Kailangan rin nilang i-consider itong production lifespan kasi kailangan alam nila kung kailan matatapos yung isang product or project. So, dito naman, make to order versus make to stock. Dito sa make to order, in a make to order business, the customer's order is not manufactured until the order is received. This allows customization to the exact specification that the customer requires. It may also be referred to as build to order. Dito sa make to order, ito yung mga business, sa mga business na nag-o-offer ng make to order, ito yung mga business na napakataas ng variety nila. Meaning, every customer unique yung pinoproduce nila kasi yung ginagawa nila is parang binabasa nila yon sa mga customers wants. So kung gusto ng isang customer na maikli lang yung damit, ganun yung gagawin nila. At hindi sila makakapag-start ng production unless bumili muna sa kanila yung mga customers. While sa make to stock naman, in a make to stock process, goods are produced in anticipation of customer demand, usually from a sales forecast. These products are generally made in larger amounts and put into storage to wait for customers' orders. So dito naman sa make to stock is in advance, gumagawa na sila ng mga products ng malakihan at yun yung binibenta nila in bulk. So dito, lahat ng ginagawa nila napupunta sa inventory. Kasi yung sa inventory, saka naman pupunta doon sa mga resellers. Ang example ng make to stock is yung mga damit. Like white shirt. Like mga Blue Corner, Kentucky, ganun. Mostly, gumagawa sila ng make to stock. Hindi sila nagka-customize kasi iisa lang yung like 100 copies of small, medium, large, extra large, at by batch yung ginagawa nila. So next is, there are different types of process. So first is project. A one-time event such as construction of an apartment building, implementation of a new ERP system, or writing a book would all be considered to a project type of process. Each of these projects have a high degree of customization, substantial use of resources, and a complex set of related activities. There is only a single output at the end of a project. So dito sa project, one time lang siyang event kasi sa isang project, napaka-unique ng project. So dito, kailangan sa isang project, isang output lang yung matatapos nyo. Like for example, sa pagsusulat ng libro. Yung project mo is magsusulat ka ng isang libro about a specific event, characters, and situations. So, after mong matapos yung project na yun, well, hindi ka na ulit makakapagsulat ng ganong klaseng output or ganong klaseng project. Next is job shop. Many businesses have a job shop type of process. This is most commonly used when the product being produced is unique for each customer. It is a make-to-order type of business where production is intermittent rather than one entire product being completed at a time. Work will continue on multiple products as time permits. Often, the product has unique characteristics for each customer. So dito naman sa job shop, ito yung mga process type ng business na kailangan muna nilang tapusin yung isang project bago sila mag-move into another project. So hindi sila pwedeng mag-process ay gumawa ng panibago hanggat hindi nila natatapos yung una nilang nasimulan. Next is batch. Some businesses are in the situation where they make groups of identical products on a regular basis. These groups are referred to as a batch. The batch will progress through a set of steps to be completed from the start to the end. An organization may have multiple batches at different stages coming through the process. So, dito sa batch, ito yung tulad niya yung parang made to stock kasi maramihan silang gumawa. So dito maramihan silang gumawa at by batch in bulk yung ginagawa nila. Next is repetitive. This type of business produces products that are more standardized in nature. Usually, the output is high. Since the goods are quite standardized, the equipment used tends to be quite specialized and often highly customized for that process. The skill level of the employees is usually low because the steps are highly standardized. Ito sa repetitive, ito naman yung mga type of process na yung pinuproduce nila is paulit-ulit. Like, hindi sila nagpapalit ng mga pinuproduce nila. Hindi sila highly customizable. So, dito, yung sa ginagamit nilang machineries is kailangan specific. At kasi hindi pwedeng mabago or hindi nila binabago yung type of output na kailangan nilang makuha. And next is continuous. A continuous process is when a very high volume of a standardized product is produced. The type of products being made is described as non-discrete. This means that these businesses do not produce individual products, rather a product that is often a liquid or a product such as sugar, gasoline, or steel. Dito naman sa continuous, ito yung process types na may steps, step by step. So, sa first step, ito muna yung magagawa. Sa next step, and then after magtapos yung first step, mag-move on sa second step at hindi pa rin yun yung tapos. So dito sa continuous, ito yung step-by-step process yung nagagawa dito. Like for example, sa sugar, hindi naman from sugar cane is sugar agad. So may step-by-step process sila nag-undergo bago makuha yung finished product. And lastly is hybrids. There are many firms using mixtures of process types. So one such common exemption is the mass customization model of production. In mass customization, a company combines low cost, high volume of output, but each and every customer order is customized to the customer's specification. So dito naman sa hybrids, pinaghalo niya yung project tsaka yung batch. Kasi dito, maramihan silang gumagawa, pero yung customers is kaya pa rin niyang mag-customize or nasusunod pa rin yung gusto ng mga customers niya. So, pwedeng palitan ng customers yung product na makukuha nila, but yung product na yun is sa maramihan pa rin ginagawa. So, combination siya ng high variety and high volume. So now let's move on to the facility layout. So a layout refers to the way in which organizations position their equipment, departments, or work centers. Having an effective layout can streamline production activities, eliminate waste or redundant movement, and improve safety. So dito naman sa layout is ito yung magiging parang blueprint ng isang company. Kaya dapat maayos yung layout para maging maayos yung workflow. So first is fixed position layout. When producing a product that is not easily able to be moved, it may require that the worker, their tools, and equipment are brought to the site where the production is taking place. This is common layout in manufacturing a building, a ship, or performing repairs to major equipment. So dito sa fixed layout is kailangan nilang malaman kung yung product ba na pinoproduce nila is kailangan pwedeng i-move. Or kasi kapag hindi pwedeng i-move, dapat doon doon iikot yung layout na dapat after ma-finish yung product, is malaman nila agad kung saan nila ilalagay. Hindi pwedeng on the process is nililipat-lipat yon. Next is process layout. A process layout is a layout in which departments, equipment, or work centers are arranged according to their function. In a manufacturing environment, all of the milling machines may be in one area or department. The lattice may be in another area, and the drilling machines all in another area. This layout is also common in services. So dito naman sa process layout is pinagsasama-sama nila yung may pare-parehas na function. So, kung dito sa first, is dito lahat yung mga equipment, so andun lahat ng equipment. So, sa next is yung mga cubicles ng mga workers, is andoon lahat yung cubicles ng mga workers. So, pinagsasama-sama nila yung mga may iisang function or may iisang ginagawa. So, sa process layout. Next is product line layout. These are used in businesses that use assembly lines or production lines. If the product has high volume, an assembly line might be the best option. The equipment in these types of layouts are often very capital intensive and are laid out according to the progressive steps in the process. Each workstation is located along the line and may consist of a worker with equipment or robots. Ito naman sa product layout, ito yung may mga ginagawa silang line assembly. Ito yung inaayos nila ay dapat naka-line or like for example sa mga cafeteria, ito yung mga layout nila is yung bago nila makuha yung product is kailangan nilang luminya or magkaroon ng assembly bago makarating doon sa product. Next is cellular layout. The cellular layout are considered a hybrid type of layout because it includes characteristics of both a process layout and a product line layout. It is very common that a business may have multiple product lines with far too much variety in order to take advantage of one assembly line. Often, these businesses may have been using a process layout with all of the associated product movement and waiting times. So dito naman sa cellular layout is like sabi nga dito hybrid. Katulad siya ng process type. So hybrid is combination of two types. So ito combination siya ng process layout tsaka yung product layout. So sa process layout kasi pinaghihiwalay nila yung by their function. So dito rin ganoon rin yung ginagawa niya. At kasama niya rin yung product layout which are yung pinapalinya yung mga tao or yung mga customers na kailangan makuha yung mga products. So there are also other layout includes office layout, retail layout, and warehouse layout. So in office layout, in 2020, office spaces are a great great deal different than generations past. Floor space per employee has dropped significantly. There is far less worry about the flow of paperwork than in the past. Often, employees are grouped according to the tasks they perform and the work teams they participate in. Workplaces now tends to be more flexible with less paper and less furniture to hold files and documents. So dito naman sa layout, very different na yung layout ng offices ngayon compared dati. Kasi dati, they most used of papers. So kailangan nila ng space para malagay lahat ng paper na ginagamit nila. So pero sa ngayon, we transition to more digital, like lahat ng mga files natin nasa computer na or mga flash drives or hard drives, doon na na-store yung mga files na nagagamit natin sa isang office. So mas lumiit mas lumaki yung space natin kasi nawala yung mga storage ng mga papers na nagagamit sa isang office. Next is retail layout. The overall goal when laying out a retail location is to try and maximize the amount of the amount of sales per square foot in the facility. This is done by careful study of traffic patterns in the store in order to try and maximize the amount of product to which each customer is exposed. This is why you will often see the milk at the far end of the store, causing customers the need to walk past all other departments to reach it. So, dito naman sa retail layout, kailangan nilang ayusin yung location or dapat ma-maximize nila yung square foot yung per square foot ng facility. So, dapat lahat ng space sa facility is nagamit to their maximum potential. So, dito, dapat dapat pag-isipan rin maigi kung saan nilalagay yung mga product. Like, for example, dito, nilalagay nila yung milk sa pinakadulo kasi everybody needs milk. So, kapag bibili ka ng milk, madadaanan mo lahat ng products. In that way, pwede ka pang makapag-browse or makakita ng ibang product at pwedeng maisip mo na kailangan mo rin yun. In that way, instead of just buying milk, marami ka pang nabili na iba pang product. Next is warehouse layout. Effective warehouse layout aims to make effective use of the total volume of space contained in the building. The relationship between the receipt of incoming goods, the storage space, and the picking, packing, and shipping of outbound goods are carefully analyzed. An important consideration is the placement of inventory items in order to maximize distance goods and employees are need to travel. So dito naman sa warehouse layout, kailangan mo rin magkaroon ng warehouse layout para maging effective ulit yung space na pinaglalagyan mo ng inventory. So dito, kailangan ma-maximize mo yung every space na dapat lahat ng inventory mo is mapagkasya mo. At dapat hindi rin magkaroon ng cross-contamination sa every inventory na nilalagay mo. So, dapat magkakasama yung kung for food lang doon. At kung for cleaning materials, dapat nakaseparate rin yun sa mga foods. So, kailangan mo rin malaman kung kailan at kung kailan ka magpapak, mag-ship at kailan mo ibenta yung mga inventory mo para ma-maximize mo yung potential nila when it comes to producing or giving profits. So, there are also important times to be familiar with. First is, there are 3 types of times to be familiar with. First is, four types. First is throughput time. It's the time between the beginning, the very first operation in the process until the product is actually completed at the end of the process. Remember that this includes not only the process time, but also any waiting time, inspection time, time spent on rework and movement. So dito sa throughput time, ito yung time wherein kailangan mong i-measure kung kailan ka nag-start hanggang sa matapos mo yung isang product. At hindi naman porque nag-start ka is dire-diretso yun. May mga times na nag-stop or nagpo-pause kasi nasira yung mga machineries. So, kailangan mo rin isama yon sa throughput time. Kailangan mo rin isama yung, like, kunwari may namali. So, uulit ka, isasama mo rin yon sa lahat ng ginawa mo hanggang sa very beginning, hanggang sa matapos mo yung product, is yun yung tinatawag na throughput time. Next is lead time. Is the amount of time between when the customer's order is received and when the product is completed and ready to ship. Kung doon sa throughput time is yung, ang minimeasure mo lang doon is yung start ng project hanggang sa matapos. Dito naman sa lead time is yung kung kailan nag-order yung customer hanggang sa ma-ship mo siya. So, ito is cover pa rin niya yung throughput time, pero dito may additional time kasi sinama mo kung kailan nag-order yung customer hanggang sa ma-ship mo na yung product. Next is cycle time. Is the rate at which the operation is actually producing each unit. If you stood at the end of the process and measured the time between completion of each unit, this is true cycle time. So dito naman sa cycle time, ang minimeasure niya is yung isang unit lang. So minimeasure niya kung gaano katagal matatapos yung isang unit at mag-move on to another unit. Yun yung tinatawag na cycle time. And lastly is takt time. Change this. So lastly is takt time. Is a calculated value which determines the rate at which a firm needs to process their product in order to meet customer design. So dito naman sa takt time, ito yung naman yung time na minimeasure niya yung process ng ito yung process na like paano nila, ito yung time na iniisip nila kung paano nila mamimit yung customers demand or yung kung ano man yung gusto ng customers nila. So, binibigyan pa rin nila ng time yon kasi syempre, kailangan nilang mabigay yung gusto ng customers in order to have a repeat customer. So, let's move on to process flow chart. Any process improvement initiative will always begin with mapping out a visual representation of the current process. This is necessary so that all members of the team will have a clear understanding of how current process is working. All of the steps and flows need to be identified and laid out in the proper sequence, and it is important that the correct stakeholders are involved in these activities. So dito sa process flow charting, dito naman is kailangan magkaroon ka ng visual representation nung ano yung gagawin by step process kung saan mag-start yung paggawa ng product hanggang sa matapos para maging maayos yung flow nung gagawin yung product. So, dito naman is like for example this, like kailangan mong gumawa ng chart or diagram kung ano yung step-by-step process para hindi kayo malilito kung nasa ang step na kayo or kung anong steps na yung mga natapos nyo at yung kailangan nyo pang tapusin para maging smooth flowing yung process ng paggawa ng isang product. So, that would be all for the process design. Thank you.